Hello everyone, and welcome to the Guy Dawson Show at WCOBM.com, the World Center of Broadcast Media. My name is Guy Dawson, and I am the managing member of Classy Communications, a full-service media and marketing company. If you would like to bring greater recognition to your business, your organization, or yourself personally, please get in contact with me at 702-845-6129 or visit our website, classycommunications.net. We are broadcasting to you live from the Gene Woods Racing Experience in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, just a stone throw from the Las Vegas Strip. And people who watch the show on a regular basis know that most of my friends are in Toastmasters International. And I have a lady who is going to be a part of the show today who I have known for many years.
That's
who is
true.
Also a member of Toastmasters, and her name is Patricia Townsend, and she is a body language expert. So I've got to be really careful about how I move my body over the next hour because I'm going to give myself
I'm already
away.
watching you, Guy. I've already got my eyes on you.
Welcome to the show, Patricia.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. This is an exciting opportunity. It's always great to see you, and I'm especially excited to get to talk to you about the lessons and what we can learn from body language. There's a whole nother level of communication past just our words and our thoughts. Our bodies send out a lot of information.
And we've just been talking about this off air leading up to the show, and just some of the things that she's already shared with me have been so insightful. And studying people is something that I'm very interested in, and I guess you are too.
Well, and it really makes a huge difference on how we communicate with people and how we can interpret messages. Instead of making assumptions, we get more pieces of information. Now, nothing by itself really means anything. I mean, we hear that thing, oh, they've got their arms crossed, they must be angry or hostile. Well, no, sometimes people are cold.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
Sometimes it's comfortable. There are plenty of things, but what we look for are clusters, multiple pieces of information that give us insight past just what's on the surface. And body language is one of those key pieces.
So what got you into this?
Well, I've always been interested in communication. I used to teach oral communication at UNLV back in 2000. I believe it was the year 2000 I started teaching at UNLV. Loved it, and found that as I studied communication, what I was drawn to so much were these nuances, the pieces of communication that are past a structured outline and past a prepared presentation, the levels that make a good speaker great. And those things are these nuances like body language. How we communicate rapport, we build rapport and trust. Those type of things are critical if we want people to believe our messages, A, understand them, but B, accept them and retain them.
How do you get trained to be a body language expert? I mean, I guess we all probably to an extent think that we're body language experts because of the interactions that we have with people, and we have our notions about how it works. And how did you get trained in it?
Well, there were many ways, and I want to come back to those stereotypes on body language before we leave, because there are so many of those that are just wrong, that came from television or something else that we've seen, and we just assume that they're true. But I came into body language, again, from studying at UNLV. When I was teaching there, I just found it to be fascinating. But to be certified as a master practitioner, I studied under the world's, and definitely the country's, but I would venture to say the world's leading expert in body language, Janine Driver. She's a New York Times bestselling author, former ATF trainer, 16 years with the ATF, doing these very things, interrogating, digging for truth, looking for deception. And so I trained with her, and in fact, last week I had the opportunity to co-train a group of law enforcement and top professionals in these very techniques. It was wonderful.
And you would already think that cops would be really good at that because they sit and they listen.
Yeah.
They listen to stories all day. I mean, that's a part of their job, but not necessarily. You're saying they need training too,
right? And so Guy, you think about in law enforcement, and I don't know if you have any experience in this, but most of us know someone in law enforcement, and at least it would be familiar to us to understand that they go through tons of training every year on how to fire their gun. Right? How to holster it, how to have gun safety, how to clean the gun, how to aim the gun, how to shoot, proper positions, all kinds of safety things. Most officers never fire their gun in their entire career, but they go hour after hour after hour, month after month, year after year, focusing on gun safety. But what do they do every single day? They communicate.
Interrogation.
They communicate with people. They interview people. They try to find the truth. So and they're lucky if they get a 4-hour workshop on communication skills of any kind, much less the nuances and intricacies of body language. So there are so much more to learn, but in law enforcement we focus so much on the safety part, which is obviously critical, but we overlook the communication aspect, which is equally important.
When did you get to the point where you felt that you were good at this? I know that you are now an expert in body language, and when did you know that you were starting to see things in people and that the training was really paying off?
Okay. Well, I think most people can relate to this, having some kind of instinct. Trust your gut. Your gut. It's not a gut instinct. Usually it's a brain instinct, but we call it a gut instinct. There are 3 classifications of people who are just particularly good at body language. One are people who have had left brain strokes. As their mind resets, they are able to see those type of things, those messages, those hidden messages that other people overlook. The second are Secret Service agents. They spend all of their time training day after day after day on how to look for things that are unusual, suspicious, of any kind of threat. So those 2 categories are huge and very successful in body language by nature. But the third category, which is the unfortunate category I fall into, are victims of sexual or physical abuse as children. If you go through an experience like that, you get really good at reading people. You know when something's wrong, when there's danger, and it becomes part of your innate makeup. And so, like 1 in 8 women in America, I have been a victim of sexual assault, and it was as a young child. So that changes your brain. It changes your brain chemistry. And so, like many curses in life, there is also a blessing to be found. And this was, for me, the great thing that came out of this is I got pretty good at reading people pretty early. And then as I started studying it formally, I realized this is a place that I can really shine. And I'm happy. I love what I do. I find it to be extremely valuable, and sharing the information, helping other people communicate better, just to be able to move forward and connect better, build better rapport, and get to the truth. Because wouldn't it be great if you could tell when people were lying to you?
I mean, sometimes I can, but sometimes I can't. Well, I mean, they talk about eye contact. That would go along with some of the misconceptions, I'm sure, that you would say. They say if a person makes good eye contact, and I mean, I've had people look me right in my eye and lie to me.
I have too.
Haven't we?
Yes,
so,
we all have.
Like you say, there are so many misconceptions out there about what certain things represent.
That's true. Eye contact is one of those. Now, in Western culture, eye contact is considered a measure of honesty. You know, I'm like, look me in the eye, guy. Did you take that last cookie?
Right.
Did you do it? Come on, look me in the eye. But there are types of eye contact that are actually detrimental to good communication. In a business setting, a professional setting, you shouldn't make direct eye contact with somebody more than 40% of the time. And I'll tell you, if you're looking, there's a zone, I don't want to get too close to you, but right here there's a triangle where my eyes into my nose, this is the only place I want to look in a business setting. If I'm looking at your forehead when I'm talking to you, even above you at all, it comes off as very condescending. Psychologically, neurologically, we feel like somebody's talking down to us when they're looking, even though they're looking at us. But here's the bigger one. I have to be careful with this one. But if I'm talking to you and I'm looking at your lips, that's a little, it's a little sexual. It's a little flirtatious.
Wow,
but in a business setting, it's really dangerous to do that. And people don't know where to look. They feel like they need to make eye contact, but having unbroken eye contact is awkward. So we look at the forehead or the lower lip. But we want to be really cautious, especially in this area, because it can be so easily misinterpreted, particularly for women. You want to be very cautious about how you're making eye contact. And really, even with your intimate partner, only about 60% of the time do you want to be making direct eye contact. Otherwise, it actually builds resistance. Mental resistance is created by too much eye contact.
And you see how easily people can be thrown off because we are taught the importance, and even by experts, that the people who we perceive as really knowing what they're talking about, and they're saying, "Oh, don't trust someone if they don't give you eye contact."
And that's true. You wouldn't trust someone.
So you make mistakes.
Yeah, you wouldn't trust someone who wouldn't make any eye contact with you. If I am telling you, "Oh, Guy, I'm really happy to be on your show. It's fabulous to be here. I am just so excited to be here."
I've had guests like that, to be honest with you. I mean, I've had guests on this show who literally will sit here for a half hour and not make absolutely no eye contact.
Well,
so I always think that person they only get one show.
Well, think about even
they never get another show.
Even going on a date with someone like that. Imagine you went on a date with someone and they told you their whole life story and never looked you in the eye. that would make you uncomfortable and you would be suspicious. So eye contact is one of the, we talked about Toastmasters earlier. We mentioned it briefly, but the Toastmasters do a really fun exercise on eye contact and how to determine how much is too much. And essentially, after 6 seconds, people build mental resistance to you. You could be fascinating, your message could be compelling, but it's creepy to get stared down, and the brain can take about 3 to 6 seconds, and that's it. So at some point, then you blink, turn, finish a statement, move on to someone else in the audience. So important, but eye contact's one of those.
We're going to go to commercial break right now, and when we come back, I want to talk about the presidential debates, because Patricia figured very prominently in these debates over the last couple of days. I'll have her explain that and also talk more about how body language affects us in our everyday lives. And we're going to take a short commercial break and be back with more of The Guy Dawson Show at WCOBM.com.